Whether you're looking for your first home or your dream home, you can always depend on XL Realty Group and Keller Williams Realty Middle Georgia. Our agents are committed to providing you with the highest quality client and customer service. Call one of our agents today. Tiffany Green, Sophia Jordan, JoBeth Bailey Rozier, Phil Dudley Jr., Jarvis Green, Tara Williams, Phyllis Rogers, or Diane Robertson. When making this type of investment that buying a home requires, you need to call the experts at XL Realty Group and Keller Williams Realty Middle Georgia. Each office is independently owned and operated.
Allen's Heating and Cooling is your licensed Amana equipment dealer. Trust Allen's Heating and Cooling to install and service your heating and cooling unit. Allen services all brands, and with the purchase of a new Amana, offers a lifetime compressor warranty. Call Sean Clark or any of his friendly staff at Allen's Heating and Cooling, your Amana dealer. Amana lasts and lasts and lasts.
But it's a wonderful day when you have an opportunity to recognize the history of this storied program. And that's exactly what it is. And I've written down just a couple of notes here. Number one, Dublin High School ranks right now as the number 14th school out of the over 500 schools listed in the history of GHSA football. Dublin High School is number 14 in the state of Georgia. They have 640 wins, 334 losses, 25 ties, okay? And that ranks as number 14. Folks, that's pretty good, okay? Now, you didn't do the math real quickly in your head, but there's something coming up that's, I guess, I'm trying to be positive. That's why we lost last year in the playoffs. Because next year when we open our season on August 19th in the Shamrock Bowl, against Wilkinson County, it will be the 100th year of football for Dublin High School. 100 years of football, and it will also be the 1,000th football game. Now, for that to have happened is quite a coincidence. 100 years of football, and the 1,000th game will be celebrated on that night. And we hope all of you who have been able to be a huge part of that 100 years is there. I want to, that I'm excited today that my predecessor is here, Coach Sam Bars. Let's give Coach Bars. Coach served as the football coach here from 91 to 2001. And he came during a time when Dublin was in a transition. And I can only tell you this, he's been a dear friend to me. And if it weren't for his love for Dublin football, I wouldn't have been here. Because I would say we spent 2 hours on the phone to talk about Dublin football before I ever came back for a second interview. Now, it's not easy to talk to a man about the job that you just poured your heart and soul into for 11 years. But he loved Dublin football. And when you talk about being involved, 100 years of football, if you take Coach Bars and myself, I'm finishing my 20th year. He and I have been a part of almost 1/3 of the history of Dublin football. So Coach, welcome. Thank you for being a friend and for being here today. That's all that I really wanted to get off before I have an opportunity to introduce two young men that played for me, so I'm going to turn it back over to Bill and let us run through the list as he's got it prepared.
Yep, you're up with Andre.
All right, I get to start first. That's perfect. The first guy that I'm going to bring up today, okay, is Endrikas Rollins. Drake was a 5'10", 200-pound linebacker running back. He was first team 2007 All-State on the AJC, okay? The thing that makes Drake's accomplishments so great was I said 2007. What I mean by that is 2006, we had a state championship and we graduated 19 out of 21 starters. There were two coming back. Rashard Smith, who's in the Hall of Fame, and Nick McCray, who's in the Hall of Fame. They were the only two starters returning. That football team that Drake took on his shoulders, along with a few others, and made it back to the state semifinals in the Georgia Dome, was in 2007. When I get to looking, I keep thinking of Drake about what a great running back he was. Ran for over 1,300 yards, multiple touchdowns that senior year. He about got me in a whole lot of trouble the year before in the Georgia Dome when we went in and hung 70 on them boys. Love it. And had to take out all the starters after one drive in the second half. And Drake and those boys went out there and showed out. I think, what'd you have, 2 touchdowns in that one or something like that in the second half? A very quality football player who played behind some great guys. But here's what I remember the most about him was his understanding of the game of football. We said he made All-State as a linebacker, and he did. If we played somebody we felt like the Mike linebacker was the most dangerous or the area we needed to be the strongest at that week, Drake played Mike. If we thought it was Sam or Will, we moved him around. He understood the game of football and gave us the abilities to move him around. Now, a lot of my running backs will tell you when you go back in the past, you play halfback or you play fullback. Very seldom do you ever have a kid that I tried to move around and put in both. But with that inexperienced football team coming back, Drake not only played halfback, he played some fullback, he played wherever we need him. And when he finished up with his time playing here at Dublin, he went on and signed a scholarship and played at Union College up in Kentucky. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our first inductee of this year a great welcome, Drake Rollins.
I'm just proud of this moment, and I want to thank the support. And like Coach Holmes said, understanding he gave me of the game, learning from him. Over here, I got my mom, my aunt, my brother, 3 kids. I got my cousins over here. And I just want to thank the support that they gave me throughout high school and the support that everybody gave me every Friday night, all the coaches that were on the staff, helping me understand the game.
Hello, my name is Tiffany Green. We're located inside of the Dublin Mall at Tafara. We offer lash services, eyebrow waxing, and full body waxing, colonic therapy, and also yoni steams. Call us for more details at 478-274-9490. Thank you.
Good morning, this is Kyle Gerard with A+ Flooring and Construction. I'm standing in a home that we recently renovated for a customer. The kitchen is a very vital part of a home, especially when you get ready to resell or just you like to entertain people. We came in with new granite countertops. We even changed some of the seating areas of it. We refinished all the cabinets, put new doors, new hardware. We can use your existing cabinets. One of the things that we did that changed the look of this kitchen was the lighting that we did. We added a lot of LED spotlights, went from an old oak, gunstock, hardwood floor to a new hickory random length floor. We can change it from top to bottom. Lots of many pretty things that we've done. Come by and see us at A+ Flooring and Construction at 1801 Rice Avenue in Dublin, Georgia, or give us a call at 478-676-2662. Hope to see you soon.
Have you heard about the new general store in Minner? Drop by Minner General Store today at 2201 Highway 29 South. We've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner cooked fresh every day, 7 days a week. At Minner General Store, we have all types of feed: rabbit feed, dog feed, horse feed, or any feed for your livestock. We've got you covered. Going fishing? Minner General Store has your bait and tackle, coolers, and all your fish and tackle. Minner General Store for groceries, feed, fishing supplies, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Well, you get the picture. Minner General Store's got you covered. Minner General Store, right down from Union Baptist Church. Call ahead at 279-5726. Minner General Store in the heart of Minner, Georgia.
What a privilege this is for me. I don't know who's responsible for allowing me to do this, but I'm thankful to whoever that is. When I think of Jim Hilburn, there are two distinct memory periods that I have. I have my boyhood growing up days in Dublin. Back then, he was always Jimmy Hilburn. In our adulthood, he was Jim Hilburn. Today, we're honoring Jimmy Hilburn, and most of my comments will be about Jimmy Hilburn. But I cannot squander the opportunity to say just a few words about Jim Hilburn. No one told me what I could or could not say.
Right.
So I guess you'll have to indulge me. Jimmy Hilburn, excuse me, played football in what I call the golden era of Dublin high school football. I know there may be some younger generation here who will challenge me on that, and that's okay. But for me, it was the seasons from 1959 to 1964. That was defined by the head coach, Minton Williams. During that period, Coach Williams coached for 5 years, and he won the state championship 3 out of those 5 years. Pretty remarkable record. Now, I was never on the same team with Jimmy. When he was a sophomore, I would have been in about the 6th grade. But I know a lot of his old teammates. I had lunch Friday with my old buddy Mike Below, who played 2 years with Jimmy. He was 1 year behind Jimmy. And so I asked him, and I said, why would you think that Jimmy Hilburn's going to be put in the Hall of Fame? And he said it was his leadership. Mike said, if Jimmy Hilburn could motivate Tennyson Coleman to run through a brick wall, and he did several times, I think. So I don't have I don't have those anecdotes of a teammate, but I sure watched him. In 1959, my older sister Rosalie was a senior. My older brother Bob played 3 years during that period, and I was a sophomore the last year that Coach Williams coached, and so we were always there. My father loved football. He actually played college ball in the 1930s. And so I don't think we ever missed a game, home or away, in those 5 years. The season I most remember was 1959. In 1959, there were 2 brothers on that team, Bobby Hilburn a senior, and Jimmy Hilburn, a sophomore. Now, I remember during the first half of that season, Bobby had a couple of really good games. But as the season went on, Jimmy got to play more and more and really came into his own. And there's one particular game that I remember. It was toward the end of the season. In 1959, Dublin went undefeated all the way to the state. It could have been a playoff game, I don't know, but it was a game toward the end of the season. And Jimmy had a hell of a game. Those folks he couldn't run around, he ran over. I think he scored a couple of touchdowns, amassed a lot of yardage. And on the way home, I remember my father said this. He said, well, I think the torch was passed tonight. He said, Jimmy took the ball from Bobby, and he's gonna run with it, and he did. He did. He had 3 great years of football. He was on 2 state championship teams, and he was a leader on all those teams. You know, I've had several football heroes during that golden era. Henry Sheffield, Charlie Tuberville, Ronnie Baggett, boy, I miss Baggett, and Danny Stanley, man, I miss Danny Stanley. But at the top of the list, for me, was Jimmy Hilburn. He was my boyhood idol, and he was my football hero. Well, Jimmy graduated, and he went off to Florida State, graduated, went to law school. I think he actually went in the service for a couple of years, and he came back home to Dublin to practice law. And when he came home, he was Jim Hilburn, and rightfully so. Jim Hilburn was my lawyer, and every now and then he'd let me build something. He was quite the astute developer. But first and foremost, Jimmy was a community leader. I may be mistaken, somebody can correct me if I am, but he was the only individual to ever serve as president of the Chamber of Commerce 2 terms. Usually you're one and done, and he served, and a few years later, they asked him to come back and do it again. The only person I've ever known to have done that. For years, in my opinion, Jim Hilburn was the voice of reason in our community. If there was a controversy or something controversial or 2 factions that couldn't get along, if you could get Jim Hilburn at the table, it got resolved. I don't think we'll see the likes of Jim Hilburn again. There are 3 events in my life that I can tell you where I was and what I was doing. One was when Kennedy got assassinated. One was 9/11. And one was when I heard that Hilburn and Davis died in a plane crash in North Carolina. That loss had a profound effect on me. That loss had a profound effect on this community. I don't think either of us will ever be the same. Jim Hilburn was my boyhood idol and my football hero. But even better, Jim Hilburn was my beloved friend. Both of them were class acts.
Accepted on behalf of his fathers, Jimmy. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, Charlie, for that tribute. That was very, very beautiful. I also prepared mine. And I'll be honest, I never thought I would be accepting any athletic award from Dublin High School, so I'm just honored to be here. Thank you so much. It is safe to say that I did not inherit my father's athletic abilities. But on behalf of my mom and my sister, I want to thank Dublin Touchdown Club for honoring my dad today. I want to thank the Allgoods and Atkinsons and the Powells for being here with us. Thank you. Excuse me. My dad was a modest man. He did not talk about himself that much. And so we did not really grow up hearing about all of these football glory days around the house. So it's been really fun and touching to research and relive everything that he achieved, talking to all of his old friends who were there to witness it. I'm going to read a short passage. In October 1961, the Courier-Herald wrote about the Irish victory over Swainsboro, and my dad was a quarterback, and this is what they said. Jumping Jimmy was as nimble as a grasshopper and as powerful as a rocket, as he squirmed, ducked, dodged, ran over, around, and under swarms of Tiger players to amass 132 yards net from rushing. And then in 1975, in a retrospective, Bush Perry asked Coach Minton Williams to look back on his long coaching career to select a dream team of his best players. And Coach Williams said, Jimmy could play anywhere and did most of the time. He was an offensive guard, a quarterback, a center, a cornerback, a linebacker, anything else we wanted him to be, and he was good at any position. He gave 400% no matter what position he was playing and provided our team with tremendous leadership. We weren't champions, but Jimmy was. We lost my dad too soon. It's been almost 15 years, which is hard to believe, and I'm sad that he couldn't be here today, but I don't think he would like the attention that much anyway. So thank you very much for the honor. We appreciate it.
It's St. Patrick's time in Dublin, and no better time to save the green than at Lakes Alignment. Join the Leprechauns at Lakes Alignment and save on all your commercial and agricultural vehicles. No matter what you need or when you need it, our trucks are rolling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't let your truck cost you money by being down. Let the experts at Lakes Alignment get you rolling again. Big truck alignment, industrial tire pressing, commercial truck tires and service is only a phone call away. Elp Lake and family have been serving you at the same location behind Thomas Auto Parts since 1954. On behalf of Neil Harden and the Lake family and staff, we hope you enjoy all the festivities at the 57th Annual St. Patrick's Festival. Lakes Alignment and Commercial and Agricultural Vehicle Service. Call 272-4230 and our trucks are rolling your way. Aaron Go Bra.
Badcock Home Furniture and More is your home store, where you'll find great savings on new living room sets, sofas, love seats, recliners, and more. Badcock Home Furniture and More has great savings every day on bedding and bedroom sets. Shop Badcock Home Furniture and More for a great selection of dining room sets. And save every day on electronics and appliances at Badcock Home Furniture and More, 1927 Highway 441 South in Dublin. Call 275-3144 for more information, or stop by and see Wendy and Tim Sumner or any of their friendly staff today at Badcock and More Home Furniture Store, where no credit is ever refused.
My name is Jeremy Blackstock. I'm the head of school at Trinity Christian. We would invite you to come to our campus so we can show you around and discuss ways that we can partner with your family in Christian education. Our goal here is to teach the truth and to have students leave here prepared to serve others and serve God in their communities.
Poor guy Cochran, he had to wait. He's my brother-in-law, so he had to wait. And then I had to push him all the way to the back, and that's just the price you pay for being the brother-in-law of the guy on the committee. You know, it's a completely different group of people every year out here. And so Guy has already been honored as a supporter. And with all due respect to Paul DeFazio and Fred Middlebrooks and Charles Bass, who were wonderful supporters, I don't think there's anybody that devoted more time and more energy and got as much money as Guy Cochran, and I'm going to let Roger come up and maybe make a comment or two about that. But we're not here to honor Guy as a supporter so much. I do want Roger to mention a few things that's specific. But as a football player, now, let me tell you how awards are earned. And Coach Bars will tell you that if your team has got a great record, they'll give you 3 guys, 4 guys, and they'll get the ink. If you have a team that's got a poor record, then you don't get as much ink. But Guy was probably about the biggest on the team, except for one guy, the fastest on the team. And how many of you out there have been on a team or watched a team where the quarterback was the middle linebacker as well? And that's what Guy was. Roger, come up. And now, I don't know if Roger's going to tell a story about going hunting with Guy or not, but we're going to let him have it, and then I'll take it back.
Well, the first thing that I want to make clear here is, Guy, we probably undersold your athletic ability for all these years. Ben's in the Hall of Fame, your daughters were all tremendous athletes, and we probably contributed all of that to Miss Tina.
I warned you about this, right? I warned you.
But Tina, I've got to say today, with your husband going in and joining the Hall of Fame, I'm going to have to reconsider where these kids have gotten all this athletic ability, okay? But in all honesty, Guy went in several years ago as a contributor to our program through his business there with Friendly Gus and his kids being a part of our program. He's done a lot over the years. We've done some things together that probably it's a good thing my wife didn't know about. He swindled me into signing a note with him on the scoreboard when we put in the first jumbotron down here, And so he felt like he had me locked in, I guess, when I had my name on the note to make sure we got it paid for. But in all reality, today is not about Guy Cochran, the supporter of Dublin High School football. Today's about his success as an athlete and what he did. And Guy, we appreciate all you've done, but today's about recognizing you as a Dublin High School great football player. Come on up.
We've had some national championships. Valdosta, we've had national championships, Warner Robins' team, and so forth. And I hope Guy will tell us one of his highlights. It actually is a loss, but it was a loss to the #1 team in the country, Americas at the time. It must have had half a dozen Division I athletes. Y'all, congratulations, Guy.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Roger, and the Hall of Fame committee. It's great to see everybody here today. It's you bring all these relationships, bring back a lot of memories. Congrats to my fellow Hall of Famers today. I enjoyed watching a lot of you play, particularly Andrikas and Mr. Foskey back there. And then I was a little too young to watch Jim, but what a class guy. I mean, my association with Jim Hilburn was as my attorney and a member of the Development Authority, and just such a class guy. I just really appreciated the brief time I got to know him, and even like Jim said, he left us way too soon. But I'd like to mention my family here today. My mom and dad, Ben and Pat Cochran. I've got my daughters, Shelley, Tanner, Carlin, my son-in-law, Matt. And I've got my good friends, the Gillises, and my doctor back there. Dr. Garner, he looks after us. I have to get on to my wife about calling Steve all the time, but thank you all for coming today. So when Bill called me this year, and let me just regress just a second. It was an honor to work for this program. When you see the kind of leadership Roger Holmes brought to the Dublin football program, it was an honor to do that. I had a son that I benefited from his leadership, but I appreciate so many of you, and particularly my buddy over here, Jimmy Allgood. When we got ready to do that scoreboard, we had this level, and the top levels were the Allgoods and the Pitts. And we got it done with their commitment, and it gave me the confidence to go sign that bank note. And I think I got John Bell on that note too. We knew we had to lock Roger down. So in any event, when Bill called this year and started talking about the Hall of Fame, my first thought was, how many trophies does he want me to buy this year, and how much food does he want me to give him? And you know, come on, get to the point there, brother-in-law. How much do you need? So he interrupted me about halfway through, and he said, no, we're going to start a new category, and we want to recognize a new player category, and we're calling it the Jack of all trades and master of none, and we thought you'd be a great candidate. I have to be honest here. I am the least accomplished athlete in my family, and those of you who know our family well, you know my wife Tina is famous. She's engraved in the monument outside of Stegman Hall next to Ray Goff as the female athlete of the year at Georgia, and she was a first-round draft pick in the women's inaugural NBA draft. #1 on the tennis team. All my kids played Division I level sports or higher, so I'm not used to this. I'm just used to saying, thank you, Lord. The kids got primarily Tina's genes, didn't they? So I've been kidded about that quite a bit. But it's quite an honor. And just thinking back on my football career at Dublin, I succinctly remember a few things. One is battling for the starting quarterback position my sophomore year. We were down here in the Shamrock Bowl, and my team was winning. And I did not have James Brown, who went to Georgia on a full scholarship. I had Roosevelt Smith, and we got to call our own plays. And 2 minutes left in the game, and I'm playing cornerback, and James Brown comes around, and I stand up the fullback and throw my arm out there to trip him up, and I felt a pain like I've never felt before. And my elbow was shattered, and I was done. So that was my sophomore year. My junior year, we had a new coach come in. We started. And anyway, long story short, it was a painful year. We lost 3 ball games by a total of 4 points. We weren't as bad as our record looked, but the worst loss, that I was a part of was Statesboro. It's not the worst loss in Dublin High history, I've been told, but it was pretty bad. We got beat 52-0 by Statesboro. I played quarterback and middle linebacker, and I was cramping from my tonsils to my toes, and I was looking at the scoreboard and saying, Lord, please let that clock run. I mean, because it was a long day. But after that year, we regrouped. We changed offenses. I went from fullback to quarterback to halfback, and then from middle linebacker to defensive end, and we had an offense called the Houston Veer. Young guy who's in the Hall of Fame named Stevie Edwards became quarterback. I became halfback, and I was big. I was 210 and could run pretty good. And so I had fun. Just most high school linebackers are about 185, so I had a distinct advantage. And I primarily blocked, but I threw for more yards, I think, as a halfback than I did as a quarterback my senior year. But we turned it around. I was most proud of that group because of several things. We all had been playing together since the 7th and 8th grade. And Don Edwards, who I would like to nominate as a candidate for this, and myself and Stan Cooley, Eddie Dudley, we never came off the field. We were the captains, and we led Dublin to the playoffs. And the regular season, we got beat by Americas 33-2. In the first round of the playoffs, we got beat by Americas 27-3. Americas gave up 5 points to Georgia football teams. We were the only people that scored on them. Dothan, Alabama scored a touchdown on them. They won the state final 34-0. They were, as Bill said earlier, I didn't realize they were ranked #1 in the nation. They were strong. So we had a great run their senior year, kind of got the Dublin football program back on track, made lifelong friendships. We only had about 30 guys on the team. Sam, you can imagine everybody was playing both ways. It was crazy. But lots of good memories. And, the funny thing about that group, and I'll wrap up here, is we loved each other so much that we were sitting around. Don Edwards had never played baseball in his life. Jeffrey Sims, probably very little. Bland Trollinger, I think, had, and I had. And so anyway, we said, let's play baseball. So we played baseball our senior year. and we were okay. But Don was such a natural athlete. He hit a ball in Big Hildren Park, out of the park into the tennis court, which is now the pickleball court, I think. But a lot of good memories, and I appreciate so much this honor, and it's very special. God bless you.
Jackson's Income Tax Service is ready to serve you. Jackson's Income Tax Service is open year-round, so don't delay. Come in today and get your taxes done and out of the way. Jackson's Income Tax Service has always stayed abreast of current and future tax laws. Email Jackson's Income Tax Service, call 272-8681, or visit us at 610 North Church Street in Dublin. Jackson's Income Tax Service is following CDC guidelines, practicing social distancing. You may drop off, email, or mail in your information for professional tax return services.
So come to Jackson's Income Tax Service,
where experience makes the difference.
From humble beginnings with a desire to serve the Dudley community, Bank of Dudley has grown to 5 locations, serving Lawrence, Twiggs, and surrounding counties. Serving our community since 1905, the Bank of Dudley is looking forward to its 2nd century of community banking. Drop in today to any of our 5 locations: Jeffersonville, Dudley, East Dublin, Veterans Boulevard, and downtown Dublin. Bank of Dudley, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender.
The diesel and automotive technology programs at Oconee Fall Line Technical College are hands-on and can be completed in a year and a half or less. Students gain valuable experience working on state-of-the-art equipment and training aids, and even maintain the college's diesel truck and vehicle fleet, which allows them to see the real-world issues they'll encounter on the job before they graduate. During labs, students are exposed to every part of the automobile or diesel truck and are required to put the theories they've learned in the classroom and during lectures into action. OFTC's diesel program is certified through Daimler Trucks of North America's Get Ahead program, which allows students to add certifications to their resume before entering the workforce. Automotive technology students can also earn entry-level certifications through Automotive Service Excellence. Adding these certifications to their resume before entering the workforce sets OFTC graduates apart when applying for jobs. These programs are flexible, and instructors work with students to accomplish their individual goals. Day and some evening class options are available, and the majority of a student's classwork is done online, so time on campus is spent applying knowledge and practicing skills through lab assignments. Careers in the diesel and automotive technician industry are in demand, and the more a technician learns, the more valuable they become to their employer. Opportunities in these fields are endless.
Oh, this guy sitting in the audience, he's one of my heroes, and he don't even know it. I grew up in Cochrane, and of course, all I heard was Dublin was outstanding, and that's obvious. I heard the Crabs and the Beasleys and Cochranes, and I heard all those names, all the goodness, and the Belotes, all of them. And as I grew up, I just wanted Cochrane to have a good football team. And I always watched this guy. He made All-State in football and All-State in basketball, and that's you, Mr. Perry. The first thing I looked at when I came to interview here was your All-American plaque in the bookcase at the old high school. And I remember watching you play and saying, God, just give me the 10th of talent this guy's got. It's an honor to be in the same room with you. I'll tell you, you've been a lifelong hero of mine. You didn't even know it because of what you stood for and how you acted. You always did it with class, and I just wanted to tell you that. I always wanted to shake your hand and tell you, and I'm going to look you up and shake your hand before this thing's over with. But I didn't come up here to talk about, let me back up. I do want to say this. People ask me, a lot of my coaching buddies asked me when I came to Dublin to interview. Now, I had taken Chris County in, and it was, we call it a dead roach. You ever seen a dead roach? They on the back with their feet up. That's what Chris County was when I took over. And I'd seen Dublin over the years, and one of my coaching buddies said, what in the world are you doing going to Dublin? All that mess they got going on, and I said, man, you just don't know about Dublin. I grew up watching Dublin. and hearing about Dublin, reading about Dublin. And it was nothing but a class act. And everybody goes through problems. Everybody has a bump in the road. You just get up, dust yourself off, and you go again. That's what you do in life. That's what football is taught all of us. So I just want you to know how special this place is. And I mean special. And the people in it are what make it. And I just wanted to tell you people that. I don't get the chance to see y'all and thank y'all enough, but you don't know how much I care about y'all and actually love a lot of you. All right, let's get on with Reggie Cordy. I have to tell you, I'm not gonna be long with these guys because my memory is not that good, to be honest with you. I remember Reggie coming in as a freshman, and we watched him come to weightlifting, and he was already pretty strong for eighth grader, rising eighth grader, ninth grader, and he was coming during the summer, and Fred Williams took him under his arm. And when I say took him under his arm, when I finish this story, you don't know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, he worked, he had a great work ethic, he didn't miss any, very few rising ninth graders, they're gonna miss from time to time. Reggie didn't miss any workout. Fred was right there with him. I was right there with him because we knew he had some special talent. Well, as we got into summer camp, Fred said, "What do you think about him coming to camp?" I said, "I don't want to run him off, man. He's gonna be a good football player." I said, "But let's bring him in and ask him." He wanted to, so he came to football camp, and he did really well considering a ninth grader until we got to the 40-yard sprints. That boy hated running worse than I do, I think. But Fred, he would cry. Reggie would cry. I hate to do this to you, Reggie, but I got to. Reggie would cry like a baby. I'm talking about, it was awful. And we laughed about it, and I told Fred, and Fred, he said, "Coach, I can't run, I can't do it anymore, I can't do it." "Yes, you can, come on now, you can." Well, Fred would get out there and grab him underneath him. When I say put him on his back and carry him, he'd grab him up on the shoulder pads and would run with him on 40-yard sprints. I used to tease Fred about being the best in shape assistant coach I'd ever had in my coaching career. And that was the truth, wasn't it, Fred? And one last story about Reg. One night, well, there's two stories. One night we were playing somebody, and I can't even remember who it was. And Reggie was a junior, I think. And it was a tight ball game. It was a tough ball game, one of those slobber knockers. And he comes up to me on the sideline. He never did this kind of thing. He never did this. He was always kind of quiet and reserved, and he just did his job, and he did it real well. And you could always count on him. You didn't have to worry about it. He was going to play lights out. He comes up to me on the sideline, and he, real quietly, not where anybody could hear, he said, "Coach, you want to win this football game?" I said, "Heck yeah." And he said, "Run behind me. The rest of the night we'll win." And we did. I wasn't stupid. When a player tells you that, you better do it. So I got behind Reggie, and we won that football game. And that's a true story. Reggie might not remember it, but I do distinctly. The other one was at practice one day, and I always had a rule that if I hollered freeze, you had to stop right where you were. If you're in your stance, you stay in your stance. You don't move a muscle. Because there was a point I wanted to make. And Reggie was playing guard, and Ben Claxton, who was in the hall, was right beside him, playing tackle. And Chad Brady was a little running back. And everybody knows Chad Brady Peanut. Well, Chad was back there, and Chad was a yapper. He just all the time, and he was just talking all the time. In a good way. Well, I hollered freeze. Nobody moved. I walked back there to Chad. I put my arm around Chad. I said, isn't that a beautiful sight? He said, what are you talking about? I said, isn't that a beautiful sight? He said, Coach, have you gone crazy? I said, Chad, look at those two fences up there in front of you. You just stay behind them and we'll win a bunch of football games. And we did. They ended up being really good players. Reggie played at Southern and Si was Alabama originally. And of course, Ben, everybody knows Ben went to Ole Miss. But that was a fun time. And Reggie, I'm proud of the guy you turned out to be, the man you turned out to be. I know you're a great father because you're a good person. And it's my honor and a privilege to introduce you to a Hall of Fame in Dublin. Come on up.
Thanks, Coach. Well, I didn't prepare any notes. I'm a Baptist preacher, and I guess it just kind of comes natural. I want to first thank God for this opportunity. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this great honor. My family, who's here tonight, this afternoon, my wife, my father who can't be here tonight because he's in Mobile, Dr. Cordy, my uncle who's standing in his stead, my sister because my mother has gone on, who's the matriarch of our family, who's here, and then my wonderful kids who are here tonight as well. Coach Bars, who was a man that believed in me throughout the journey, who was an advocate for young men, who, when I got married the first time, and he showed up at my wedding, my dad made sure he had a seat on the front row, and he was right there. From using his power to give me the opportunity to play in the Georgia-Florida All-Star game, and just for believing in me. Coach, I want you to know that I thank you and I love you. Dr. Williams, I think he was in better shape than me on those 40-yard sprints. But he believed in me as well as an offensive lineman and as a defensive lineman. He taught me a lot about the game of football. But he didn't just teach me a lot about the game of football, he taught me about how to be a man. Because what people didn't know is that outside of football season, when the summer months got here, Dr. Williams was showing up at 228 Cascade Circle to pick me up and to go work on drills. But not only drills, but he taught me how to use a riding lawnmower. You know, even though my father was active in my life, Dr. Williams would pick me up and he would invest in me and he would teach me about the game, not only of football, but he would teach me about the game called life. And Doc, I thank you for the investment that you've made into my life. It has been a reason that I've become the man that I have become on today. Coaches like Coach Whitten, Coach Strick, Coach White, who were all coaches when I was at Dublin. It's just, it's an honor. My father, again, I acknowledge him tonight for being the reason that I am the man that I am. And like I say, over the past few months, he's gone through some health challenges. And I would have to thank God for my mother. She left me in 2013. But I think that if it wasn't for her sacrifice, when the doctor told her that she was diagnosed with sarcoidosis and, you know, she had just become pregnant with me, and the doctor told her that she needed to have an abortion, give the baby up because, it could risk her life. But she made a choice. She made a sacrifice to give me birth. And if it wasn't for her sacrifice, I would not be here before any of you on tonight. And so I thank God for her making that sacrifice to give me birth so that I could be the man who I am today. I recognize guys like Kyle Crabb, who's going in to the fame with me on tonight. I can remember as a freshman, you hear a lot as a middle school kid about Kyle Crabb, and I just didn't know how great of a quarterback he was. And I don't know if Kyle remembers this. I can remember one day in practice, we was going through some pass skelly, I believe it was, and he threw a pass to Jackie Jackson. He threw it so hard that it split Jackie's finger. It's a pinky finger there, and I thank guys like Kyle Crabb, but I also have to acknowledge guys like Ben Claxton. I have to acknowledge guys like Chris Page, Pork Chop, and those other guys, Chris Graham, who took me under their wing as a freshman, and Fred Mercer, who made me a tough young man. And I wouldn't have been, the player that I am if it wasn't for some of those men helping to make me and mold me into the player that I am. I had the opportunity to sign with the University of Alabama. Had the opportunity to play at Georgia Southern, win a national championship, several conference championships. But the thing about it is, and I say this tonight, irregardless of where I've been, I will always bleed green and gold. And I thank God for this opportunity tonight, again, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. God bless each and every last one of you. And I have to say one more thing, and I can't leave without acknowledging Coach Holmes, because I believe it was my junior year at Georgia Southern, and Coach Holmes had become the head coach here. He asked me about coming because I would come and always talk to Dr. Williams and Coach Hudson at that time. And Coach Holmes invited me, I believe it was over here when we had the old practice area there. He invited me to speak to the team. But then he also gave me the opportunity, when I left Georgia Southern, I went and talked to him and Dr. Nesbitt in the old high school because I wanted an opportunity to pour back into young men's life like Dr. Williams and Dr. Williams had poured into my life. And Coach Holmes gave me that opportunity to pour back into young men's life. And again, Coach Holmes, I thank you for the opportunity to be able to continue my gift and be around the game of football when I became a coach here at Dublin. So again, I thank you, Coach Holmes, for that opportunity. Again, thank you.
Good job. Good job. First Lawrence Bank invites you to experience banking at its best. Whether you have personal or business needs, we're a full-service bank big enough to handle all of your banking needs and small enough to provide you with that personal touch you've grown to expect from a community bank like First Lawrence Bank. Looking forward to your future? That's First Lawrence Bank in Dublin and Dexter, member FDIC.
Home is where the heart is, and Century 21 Durden Cornegay wants to match your heart's desire with the perfect home. Let our realtors at Century 21 help you find a new home. Realtors Brian Howell, Charlene Lamp, Adam White, David Deeves, Jennifer Brantley, Jay Brantley, Jim Jarrett, Ruth Watson, Charlene Brantley, Raina Dubberly, Yvonne Robertson, and broker George Durden will go to work to fill your heart's desire in a new home. So call Century 21 Durden Cornegay and let's make your dreams reality. Log on to c21dublin.com for more information.
This next guy, I've grown. They know it, but I told them a story a while ago. All three of my sons about an encounter I had with their dad, with two of them. This kind of affects both Lyndon and Lauren. When I first got to Dublin, Dr. Bob Schumann was on the board, and I talked to the Board of Education, and they were going to carry me around and meet some people. And the first place we went to was the courthouse. And I looked over at Dr. Schumer. I said, what's going on? He said, well, Larry Shank's office here, he's in the FBI. I said, I hadn't done a thing, man. Don't do that. And he said, no, he's got more. Well, I knew who his sons were because I coached against Larry when Larry played here at Dublin. And so we go upstairs and meet him and talk to him about 5 or 10 minutes. And it was very pleasant. He was really nice. But, the other one was when we got going, and I don't know if Landon had graduated. It might have been his year or later on when Lauren was coming up and playing for me. Anyway, we were at a Booster Club meeting. I can't remember where it was really, but I told little Larry, I called you little Larry, you're Larry, but I told Larry a while ago, I said, you know, I've been around a lot of parents that ask a lot of questions. And some of them were very sharp, knows the game of football, won't ask dumb questions, but some of them come up with crazy stuff. They ain't even in the stadium, much less the ball on the field, about some of the things they ask. Well, Big Larry asked a question to me one time, or made a statement to me about something. I don't know whether it was my play calling or my defense or whatever it was. I looked at Larry, I said, Larry, you know just enough football to be dangerous to a coach. He just died. He loved it. He loved it. I didn't mean it ugly. I mean it as a compliment, because I'd had so many people, parents come up and they try to ask a question, they really don't know what they're talking about. It's like kind of like when I go see Steve Garner as my doctor. I say to Steve, I'm out of my ballpark. I don't even know how to ask this question. And he'll pull me through it and get me through it. But it's kind of like that. But I got asked a lot of crazy things. But Larry was always on point with some things. And I told him that we had a big chuckle out of it. But I mean it. He was pretty sharp as a I call him a daddy or average football fan. But getting to Landon Shank, when I first got here, you know, I will be honest with you, I'd never had a kicker before. I had a big kid that kicked for me when I was at Cordell and different places. And one of the things that attracted me here was the kicking game. I mean, y'all always, I laughed at the kid when I was assistant coach at Dodge County one night. Dublin comes over in. It was Hagler, one of the Hagler boys. I'm talking about a driving rainstorm. I'm not talking about a rain. I'm talking about a driving, wind blowing. Rain was coming in about this angle. And he was kicking a field goal, about a 35-yard field goal, which is about into the wind, driving rainstorm. I was laughing on the sideline. I'm coaching against Dublin at the time. I'm at Dodge as an assistant. And I'm laughing. Well, Hager runs out there, and he hits that football, and it sounded like a cannon went off. And if you know Dodge County football stadium, right behind the goalpost is a fence. Well, and right behind that is a little hedge, and then right behind that is a car. Well, he kicked it between the two rows of cars back in a driving range. I was embarrassed that I laughed at the kid. But one of the things that attracted me here was the fact that George Hager was a community coach and a kicking coach. Well, when I got here, I knew there was a kicker coming. He always had him. And, of course, I'd met with him and talked to him, and he said, yeah, we got to do it. Landon Shank, he's kicking at college level. Well, he went on walking on that Georgia proved he could kick on the college level, because he did. And, but he said, you need to come watch him. Well, when I got here that spring, I wasn't worried about the kitchen. I said, you take him down to the stadium and you do your thing. I trust you because I've watched you over the years. I didn't get to see him kick, but just a little bit in the spring. I was focused on installing offenses and defenses. Well, I knew Landon was down there working because I'd see him every day. Well, that summer after baseball, because he played baseball, after baseball they started their summer workout, kicking. And I'd go down and I'd just marvel at him. And I couldn't believe I was lucky enough to have a kicker like that. And then Lauren comes along and does the same thing. Well, I'm going to tell you between the two, and I'm stealing a little thunder from you, Lauren, in just a minute. But between the two, and Roger, I remember playing you when you had, I don't know who you kicked, I can't remember who your kicker was. But every time you kicked off, it was in the end zone. Well, these guys wasn't quite that accomplished, but they got in the end zone a lot of times. It sure was fun playing defense on the 20-yard line, starting the team back 20 yards. Because there's a general rule in football that a lot of you don't understand. If you start at your own 10-yard line, you got a 10% chance of driving the field and scoring. If you start at the 20, you only have a 20% chance of driving and scoring. And the closer you got, if you get the ball on their 30, you got a 30% chance of scoring. So the further you are away from that goal line, the better they are. Well, these two guys were responsible for a bunch of that. And it sure didn't make our defensive coordinator feel good when he ran out there and he had them backed up to the 20-yard line. Because the play calling changed, they got a lot more conservative. It makes a difference. And these two guys, and it started with Landon. Landon, I'd be remiss to tell you this, and we can't talk in front of your mama or your wife, but I've heard stories about initiation at the University of Georgia as a football player. I don't want you to shake your head yes or no. I just want you to know I've always wanted to ask you that. But that's right. Went on to College State College, didn't it? Without further ado, I have to tell you this family is one of the special families in Dublin. And all of you knew Big Larry. And you know the outstanding people these boys have turned out to be. And I'm so proud of both of them, but I'm especially proud of you, Landon, because you came in and you made it easy for me when I got here. And you took a load off and you don't even realize that. And I appreciate it. Landon Shane.
All right, so I furiously wrote down some notes. First, I want to thank the committee for this, and I also want to thank the program coordinator who had me go after Reggie Cordy speaking. Guy's got a voice of God, and you seem like you could strap him on and play right now. It's hard to believe we're getting inducted in the same sport. I don't know how this is going, but I was privileged to have a role on two great Dublin High School football teams. Now, they were great for two different reasons. Many of you will remember that our 1990 football season occurred in the midst of a lot of community strife. That strife ensnared our head coach, which was regrettable, but at the same time, I think a portion of our community, was rightfully feeling marginalized, and they needed to vent that year. It made for a really difficult year. It led to a very dismal 1-9 season. And I look back on that, and I have mixed feelings of regret and frustration, but at the same time, I feel like our community just needed that year. We just needed, like the prairies need to burn. We needed to just have that season. A lot of grievances needed to be aired, and we needed to clear the air, and we did that. From that pain, though, I'm happy to report came some healing. In our 1991 season, we put together a fantastic season. I'm really proud of that 1991 team. In my opinion, that was a team without any obvious stars. Coach Bars came in, and to his credit, he took a bunch of pretty good players, and I think he turned us into a really good team. We won our region, so we went from worst to first in our region, and made a nice little run in the playoffs until we ran into one Robert Toomer from Worth County, who I believe set the state rushing record on us that night and sent us all off to other sports. But that's okay. I was really proud of that team. And like I said, both years I think were really important for our community. They were important to me for different reasons. I'm just proud to have been able to play a role on both of those. And there are some people I need to thank there. One is Coach Snipes. He gave this 125-pound junior a chance to play football because kicking was going to be my only way to play football. And I hate the way that season turned out, but like I said, that kind of built a foundation for the next year. Then Coach Barr is coming in and doing such a fantastic job with our team, and he gave a 135-pound senior a chance to play football. He even let me throw one pass, and I apologize for the interception. Someone was supposed to be blocking for me on the double pass. So, if Reggie would have been out there, I'd have been 1-for-1 with a touchdown, I'm sure. But that opportunity to play on those two teams, I could go on and on about how much I love those teams. We had really good players, people I'm proud of. I remember Sean Morgan on defense, and the great Drago Evans, who I hope will find a place in this hall very, very soon. There were other great players, Sean Clark, Sean Morgan. I just think of these different guys that were so impactful. Two I want to call out by name. Probably not quite as heralded on that team, but I have to give credit to Stuart Dixon, who is our deep snapper, and Matt Bailey, who is our holder. As a kicker, you got to give a shout out to those guys in your line. But those two in particular worked really hard. We were all buddies, and it made for a really fun year. And another person who at the time was not an official coach, but you've heard his name mentioned a couple times, is George Hagler. I don't even know if he started off knowing anything about kicking, honestly. He just had these sons who were amazing kickers, and like Coach Barr's reference, he just started this line of kickers, and he just worked tirelessly with us down there, and he made us run the bank to the point where we wore out the monkey grass and everything on the bank, and Coach Barr's kept having to move us along the bank, and so we worked really hard, and I really appreciate all that he did for me in my career. I have to say, I did move on to Georgia, and my career there didn't go quite the way I wanted it to, but I think I went as far as my talents could take me, and it certainly was facilitated by the great people that coached me here and developed me here and supported me in this community. I have to give a shout out to my family. My brother Larry's here. He may have a claim as being the best athlete in the family, but he certainly has the best heart and is the hardest worker. Lauren, super proud of you for coming in today. You're a fantastic athlete. You're fun to watch. I remember watching you play your heart out against Thomas County Central. Our sister can't be here. She's in California, but I know she's very proud of us. Now, Lauren, I did want to tell you two things. I think everybody knows our family's very competitive in all of the activities we take part in. I do want to say that my name is listed first on the inductee list. So technically, I did get inducted before you did into the Hall of Fame. So there's that. And then also, I don't want this to be upsetting, but Mom did choose to sit at my table and not yours. Sorry. But seriously, I do want to thank my mom and my dad. My dad, unfortunately, passed away a couple months ago. But I am proud to say that while he was alive, he did get this news. He did live long enough for us to be able to share this with him, and he was so proud of us. Sorry, I didn't think I upset. He worked so hard to make us the players and the people that we are. And while he was out front doing coaching and supporting us and things like that, I think people who know our family knows the real backbone of our family is our mom. And I'm proud of all that you've done for us too. All right, let me take a little breath here. But seriously, thank you, Mom. And then I'm really happy my family is here to see this, my wife and my 3 kids. As a parent, maybe some of you guys do this, but I constantly tell my kids how big a deal I am. So I don't know if you guys do this, but their whole lives I've told them I'm a big deal. And in fact, they got me a coffee mug one time that says, "I'm kind of a big deal," right? Like the Ron Burgundy quote. So they did give me that for Father's Day one time. And you guys know I'm not that big a deal, and you guys know I'm not that big a deal, and I know I'm not that big a deal. But I'm honored to get this because maybe now there's a little bit of doubt in their minds that maybe I am kind of a big deal. So congratulations to all the other inductees, and thanks to the committee, and I'm honored. Thank you.
Wayne Kemp's Dublin Auto Sales will put you in the driver's seat today. Come see our great selection of quality pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Our sales professionals are ready and waiting. Come see TJ, Trey, Alan, and Britt at Wayne Kemp's Dublin Auto Sales, where good deals and good people meet. Visit us at 606 East Jackson Street in Dublin. Call us at 275-2010 or log on to DublinAutoSalesGA.com. Wayne Kemp's Dublin Auto Sales. We'll put you in the driver's seat today.
The City of Dublin Natural Gas provides the most cost-efficient source of energy available today. So for your home, choose the most natural resource. Safe, clean, efficient. All new subdivisions around the Dublin area have natural gas available. Start reducing your energy bills today with Dublin City Natural Gas Department. Natural gas, the smart choice. Call 277-5048 today and let us help you start saving today.
When your ability to get up out of a chair, stand, walk, and do routine activities without hurting every day, having to take Tylenol, Motrin, or leave to get through the day, then it's time to come see us. Again, if you're avoiding activities, you're not going to do things with your friends or your family or your children, then you should not let it impact your life like that. We have things from medications to injections to surgery. A lot of people, I think, are scared to come see us initially because they're not ready for surgery. 85% of the people that I see in my office, I'm treating with something other than surgery. It's that small group of people at the end of their disease that are getting knee and hip replacements. So don't be afraid at least to come and let us check it for you.
When I got here, one time, I kind of saved this story. Big Larry came to see me, and Lauren, you were playing same position as Eric, and Larry came to me and he said, he needs to be on the field. And I said, Larry, I was trying to, and what I was doing during the spring, I knew I had two good receivers at the same spot. It didn't take a rocket science to spot that. But I was trying to develop another receiver, and I wanted to see what he looked like in the spring. So Larry comes and talks to me during the latter part of spring. I think it was the spring game. And he said, "What's your plan?" And I said, "Larry, I wanted to see what this other kid could do." I said, "I promise you, I got two kids that run 4.5 in the same spot, and I'm going to put one on this side of the field and one on that side." We were throwing the ball a good bit at that time. And I said, "Now I'm going to stretch their defense, but that's my plan. I just wanted to see if I could develop this kid in the spring, give him some reps, and some quality reps." And he said, "Oh, okay." As it turned out, that's what we ended up doing. And sometimes they end up on the same side of the field. But I won't ever forget, never forget. I don't know if, Roger, you've ever done this. You might have. We were playing Waycross. Now, Waycross is fixing to consolidate and go one school system down there from the city school, which was Waycross, into the county system, which is Ware County High School. So they were abolishing Waycross. This is their last football game if we beat them, and it was in the playoffs, second round of playoffs. And they rolled in, and they had a pretty good team. The quarterback ended up going to Georgia and playing at Georgia and did pretty good, and he was the coach's son. And they rolled in there, and it was a battle. They were always pretty good, and they scored to go ahead, and we took the ball over with like 2:12, 2:20 on the clock, and we ran 95 dig. You remember it? Well, 95 dig was a dig route to Lauren. 96 was to the other side. I ran it 6 times in a row. Have you ever done that?
I hadn't thrown it the same place 6 times in a row.
You hadn't thrown it 6 times in a ball game.
Not in a row, that's for sure.
He didn't have Lauren.
But I threw it 6 times in a row. I called the same play 6 times in a row. And we went right down the field, and then we ended up throwing a fade in the corner and won the football game. And Mike Kirby gave me a recording. He still calls it The Drive. I don't know if you ever heard it or not, but I found it in some of my stuff a while back, and I actually listened to it, and it was fun, I'll tell you. But I remember the role Landon played. He was a kicker, he was our kicker, and he kicked off in the end zone like I told you earlier, and he just made it easy for our defense to go out there and play defense. And then he did everything I asked him to. And then one night, this was the start of that season, as a matter of fact, we had to go to Waco and play Washington County. And we were struggling. It was 14-0, 20-0, something like that. And I called 95 big, and he goes about 75 with it. And you don't know this, Lauren, but somewhere, I think the kid, he was a DB. I know he was a DB at Washington County because he told me he was. And he said, he came up to me, and I was somewhere, I was still in coaching at the time. He said, are you Coach Bars? Wasn't you at Dublin? I said, yeah. He said, Coach, I always wanted to ask you, I played y'all in, I forget what year it was. He said, I played y'all and said, y'all had two white guys that played wideouts. And y'all threw a crossing route, and he carried it 75, and there's three of us trying to chase him. We couldn't catch him. That's the fastest white guy I ever chased in my life. And I said, yeah, he's a 4-5 guy. He can run. And we had a big laugh, and we talked, and he really respected you from that play and what you did. And I can't tell you enough. You look at this family, and you look at Reggie, and obviously Kyle's coming up, but you're talking about quality people, not just good football players, quality people. But you look at everybody in this room who's been selected or been a part of this, it's nothing but class and quality. And it's my honor to present this to these guys, but also especially to you, Lauren, because you made it real easy for me to be a coach. Come on up.
All right, so so for every yin, there's a yang. So for Landon's speech, I'm not that guy, right? Anybody who knows me, I'm a man of few words, and so I'm keep it that way. As Landon mentioned, we lost our father a couple of months ago, and fortunately I got a lot of things passed down from him, but the gift of gab was not one of them. So I'm going to kind of keep this short. Just want to make sure I thank a lot of the people that had kind of a big role in kind of where I am standing here today. Also starting with Coach Holmes for bringing up the Hall of Fame. Appreciate it. The Dublin Touchdown Club for putting this on and honoring us all. It's really, really special. It's my mom and dad. Having 4 children and getting us all to where we needed to be throughout our lives, I don't know how they did it. I've got 2 kids that just play 2 sports, and it's hard enough for us. And so having 4 kids that played upwards of 3 to 4 sports, it's pretty amazing. So it took a lot of determination and coordination, and to get us all to where we need to be. So thank you. And like Landon mentioned, Coach Hagler, and all the coaches really, but Coach Hagler, I don't think he was an official coach. I don't know if we even got paid. He was just a volunteer that took time out of his Sunday every week to come teach us kickers how to be good kickers. And they'd be down in the Shamrock Bowl every Sunday afternoon, like Landon said, running the banks, running the steps, just kicking. And he was there every step of the way, being supportive and teaching us how to get it done. It's like Coach Barr said, Dublin's had a rich history of kicking. I can attribute that to us. Remember in recreation ball, it kind of started there. Even way back in those days, I don't know how they do it now, but when you scored a touchdown, you could go for 2, and that was 1 point, or you could kick, and that was 2 points. So it kind of started there. It was that encouragement of developing the kickers. And then as we got through, middle school and high school, obviously, we would kind of funnel through with Coach Hagler and did a lot of work, and honestly, it paid off.
At Dublin Chevy Nissan, we're getting the St. Patty's Party started early. When you come to Dublin for our St. Patrick's Day Festival, make sure and visit Dublin Chevy Nissan. With shipments of new GMs and Nissans coming daily and a wide selection of pre-owned vehicles, don't miss the party of the year at Dublin Chevy Nissan. At Dublin Chevy Nissan, we take pride in turning our inventory. So if you see it online or on the lot, act quickly. And remember, Don sells trucks well at Dublin Chevy Nissan.
Hi, I'm Brian Nash.
And I'm Lindsay Black, and we're the co-chairman of the 57th Annual Dublin Lawrence St. Patrick's Festival. We want to personally invite you out this year to come out to over 40 events that we have.
We have a new event this year on March 5th. It's Music and Munchies featuring the Swingin' Medallions. Gates open at 5, lots of good food vendors, so come on out and join us.
Also, be sure to have Super Saturday on your calendar this year. Super Saturday will be on Saturday, March 19th. We'll have the Arts and Crafts Festival, the Dublin Lawrence St. Patrick's Parade, and all kinds of events from all different groups throughout the day. Also be sure to join us for the Super Sunday Brunch the very next day. We'll be at the Dublin Country Club. If you've not already, be sure to join the Order of the Blarney Stones or the Shillelagh. Members of these groups get special access and tickets to many of these events, like the Music and Munchies at the Market, where you will get VIP access. Also, we hope you'll join us for the annual Irish Balloon Festival and Glow. That will be on March 11th and 12th at Southern Pines. We have lots of great balloons this year that I know you're going to love. And we have lots of events. We hope that you come out and join us, even some of the older ones that you've come to love, like the Pancake Supper, the Joint Civic Luncheon, all kinds of the great events that you've come to love during your St. Patrick's Festival. Visit our website at stpatsdublin.com for tickets to all these events. Aaron, go Bra!
All right, this next young man is one that I've grown close to his dad. I told his dad and Stan Smith one time, I said, I wish I'd have grown up with you guys because y'all would have been my best friend. I don't know if I'd been your best friend, but y'all would have been my best friend. That's the kind of guys that they are. And Kyle Crabb, I won't ever forget, he was a ninth grade quarterback. And we struggled as a ninth grade group that particular year. My son was on that team. And we just didn't look very good. We wasn't very talented, or it looked in that case anyway. Well, we started after the season. I didn't know what to do. We were graduating our quarterback, and Tracy White was my quarterback coach, and I told Tracy, I said, okay, after Christmas, you got 1 week after Christmas, I want you to start. I want you to bring quarterbacks in, and you know, back then we could only work with one person at a time. One coach, one player. You couldn't have a receiver catching the ball, so we had to be a coach and couldn't be two coaches. I couldn't be in it. And so I say 6:30 to 7, you give him a good 45-minute workout, work on his footwork. Fundamentally, I want his feet perfect come spring. And when we say that statement, we're talking about footwork. There's a lot of little nuances in footwork that you have to do. And so Tracy jumped on it, and I go in there one day, and I'd given them 6 or 8 footballs to throw because they had to throw them and go get them, and it's just time constraint. Well, Tracy, to give him a target, Tracy had taken chairs, and he started out with a metal chair, old metal chair with a metal background, and then the metal bottom. Well, I just happened to walk through there, going to sign in one day, and Kyle did a 3-step, and he was on one side that we had all the gym bleachers pushed in, and he was out of bounds on one side and had a chair sitting on the other side, and we were throwing a 3-step out. And Kyle threw it and hit the back of that chair, and the back flew out of it. I said, good gracious. And so I stood there and watched him a few minutes, and he had made a tremendous amount progress. Because we as coaches have a saying sometimes, he couldn't throw it in the ocean standing on the beach. Well, when we first got Kyle, he wasn't very good. I'll go ahead and tell you. He wasn't quite that bad, but he wasn't that good. But I tell you what he did do. He developed himself because he had a tremendous work ethic. Greg, I don't know if that comes from you or Mary. I think it comes from Mary. I used to tell Mary, I said, Mary, you drive them too hard. You drive them too hard. They gonna be all right. No, they're not. And she had a whip in one hand and a bullhorn in the other. She was on them now. She didn't play, and that's a credit to, but the way both of them turned out. I'll be honest with you. But Kyle, I said, he'll never be a throwing quarterback. And as it turned out, he developed himself because he had sheer want to, and he did it. God didn't bless him with a tremendous amount of talent. He had some, but he had a bunch of want to. And you ask Roger, we'll take those want to guys all the time. But Kyle developed himself into a fine football player. In his sophomore year, his daddy and I had a conversation about this, and it's probably my fault. And if I have one regret in my coaching here, is that I didn't start that kid sooner. I should have started him sooner. You know how football coaches can be dumb sometimes. We can be hard-headed sometimes. And I was that way. I was trying to protect him because I didn't know if he was quite ready yet. He had done everything I'd asked him to do, but I didn't know if he was quite ready yet. He comes in, he plays, he probably ends up playing more than the other kid that I started, but this kid had started the year before, and he was about to beat him out. Well, his sophomore year, the last game of the season, in 1994, which was the state championship, I looked at Coach White and I said, it's time for him to start. And Tracy said, are you kidding me? And I said, nope, it's time for him to start. That boy went out there and had a tremendous game. Because I put the ball in his hand. We played Thomas County Central, and they beat us 31-14. But the score was 20-14 at one time. And it was 20-0 at halftime. I always told our football team, I said, I'd rant and rave or pat them on the back, whatever it took. But that football game, I told my coaches, I always met with my coaches outside before we go in to talk to the players. And our players were down in the dumps, our fans were down in the dumps, and it wasn't looking good. And I said, don't go in there, I don't want you to talk about detail, nothing. I'm gonna do all the talking. I set them in the bleachers, we were in the old gym, man, I set them in the bleachers. And I said, guys, we are a good football team, but we're not showing it. We've embarrassed ourselves up to this point. Now, I want you to relax. Now, you keep in mind, Thomas County Central had an edge on us. They'd already won 2 state championships back to back, and they were working on 3 people. So they were used to being there. We wasn't used to being there. That's just part of the course. But I told them before we came back out, I said, now, first get back in the ball game, you receivers and a quarterback's gonna have to make some plays. Well, we go back out there, they kick off, we kick off to them, and they're 3 and out, they punt, we go right down the field and score. 20-7. We hold them, they get a first down or 2, they kick to us, they punt to us, we go right back down the field. Now it's 20-14. Well, old green and gold up in the stands starting to rock and roll, and we're starting to feel good about ourselves. We get down, it's 20-14, we get down to the 4-yard line, fixing to score and kick extra point and go ahead. And people don't know this, but we went into that ball game with all 3 of our running backs hurt, could not play. I had taken 2 DBs that didn't play running back, put them at the running back spot, and alternated them every series so I could rest him so he could play defense and alternate on offense at running back. Run a little quick pitch. It was there. He was fixing to go in the end zone for a touchdown to go ahead, and he got the ball out. How many times as a football coach we've seen this? Ball gets out like this. They had a defensive tackle that signed with University of Central Florida. He dove and his arm, he missed, and his arm went behind our running back and knocks the ball out of his hand, and they recover it. And of course, that took the sale out. But in that ball game, Kyle came of age. He grew up, and we as football coaches have a term, man up. Well, he manned up. But this guy, I can't take my hat off enough for him, because he had some talent, but he took it beyond where he just willed himself to be a good quarterback. He goes on and walks on at South Carolina, and it's unbelievable how good that boy was. And I tell you, he was even better leader too. The kids followed him. They trusted him. They knew that he was there to win games. And that's what you got to have in a quarterback. And I had a fun time coaching this kid, because you could tell him to do a cartwheel coming out of the huddle and he would have done it, just because you told him to do it. That's the kind of player he was. And Kyle, come on up, buddy.
Thank you, Coach. Andricus, I like your style. Unfortunately, my mom told me I had to speak a little bit. So, secondly, it's pollen season, so if my eyes start to tear up, it's definitely the pollen. Or you could say that I got a little bit of my dad in it. But in the sophomore year, my wife's back there. She's like, "What are you going to say?" I was like, "I don't know. I haven't written this down." But it's kind of changed from Landon. It's quite funny. But Coach White came over to me during the middle of the game. We were playing Truman County, and he said, "Hey, listen, son, you've done pretty well. The people are going to want to talk to you after the game." He's like, "Saturday morning, whenever I read the paper, it better be we the whole time, and you better thank everybody, because it's not just you." And that stuck with me forever. He's like, whenever we lose is the only time we can use the term I can do better. So Coach White, I don't know where he is right now or what he's doing, but that always stuck with me. So I'll give it a go. I'm sure I'm going to miss out on some people, so I'll give it a shot. So Lauren's right here in front of me. So Lauren, Erigrel, and oh goodness, Chad Brady, Ryan Taylor, Delvin Davis, Brian Bars, Lee Foskey. I see the Foskeys in the back. We're on that team. David Wooden, Jeremy Myers, Josh Shevins, Slot, Jason Marlin, Al Toon, Billy Hazley, Joey Dean, Chad Brady, Keith Paldo, everybody. So I know I left out a lot of people, but those were the folks that made me. Like Coach Barr said, I didn't really have that much talent. Mom and I are probably battling for worst athlete in the family. So I've got a size 14 shoe, so those drill works were really great. I wasn't very good, but I had a big old head on me. And Coach White, Coach Barr taught me the difference of cover 2 versus cover 4, cover 1 versus cover 3. So I didn't get the likes of the receivers killed going over the middle. So those X digs and Z digs they were okay. I do have to clear the air on a couple of things. That Washington County game, that was an interesting game, and it's probably the reason why Coach Boris doesn't trust me all that well that part of the season. It was really early on. I didn't throw the ball to Lauren that game. That was actually Chris, who I saw at Jackson on the River Friday night. It was really cool catching up with him. But we ran a little bit of the option, and the goal of the option is the quarterback to give himself up and pitch the ball off the defensive end to the running back. It's great in theory until Takeo spikes as the defensive end to pitching off of. And I remember Coach Barrs ran it. I was a 10th grader, maybe $185, and Takeo comes clean, unblocked. He's the Georgia Player of the Year, Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer, the real Hall of Famer. And he kills me. And I limp over to the sideline. He's like, I think we can run it again. And I think I looked at Coach Barnes, I was like, you're going to have to get another quarterback. We go in the opposite direction. And we ran in the opposite direction. Taquio still got me. But we didn't run that play again. So that's probably why Coach Barnes didn't trust me. But there's a lot of things and a lot of people that I want to thank. First and foremost, my mom and dad. Dad was the first, player coach that I had. And it's really cool because now that I'm 40 and I can barely, get out of the car, Dad got out of the car, running. He was all-time receiver. I was all-time quarterback. He was Mark Clayton, Mark Gooper. I was, doing my best to be Dan Marino. So, Dad, thank you for all that time and effort. Mom was all-time cheerleader. Whenever you're playing, you don't really hear people in the stands a lot, but your mom's voice is the one that speaks it out. So it's pretty cool that she's the only person that I could ever hear, even in South Carolina whenever I made it. So thank you guys. I did want to talk about Coach Shank. He was my first coach in tackle football. And again, Little Hilburn came up right across from Moore Street. And I was playing fullback. Warren was playing quarterback, and Keith Paldo was playing tailback. And he taught us two phrases in football. And ladies, I don't know if you're familiar with them, and to be honest with you, they're brutal. I still get nervous whenever I hear them. One is Oklahoma, and the other one is Bull in the Ring. And I, to this day, I've shied away from that. In football, there's two types of people: those that can deliver hits and those that can take hits. And I'm the latter. But it was a lot of fun playing ball here in the community. Whenever the community got around us, it was really cool. That ride to the state finals was awesome. The next year, we probably had a better team coach, and unfortunately came up a little short. It's real hard to beat a team that you beat earlier in the season, blow out, and they came back and beat us. But it was really great. And quarterbacks are only as good as the people in front of them. I mean, obviously, you can see how big Reggie is. Even though he was a freshman whenever I was a senior, we didn't really get to play together. But I mean, Lauren Shank's in the Hall of Fame. Eric Rowland probably is in the Hall of Fame as well. So remiss. I mean, I think I'm just in there by default for throwing the ball to those guys. But it was a lot of fun. And to the Touchdown Club, Mr. Perry, I know a lot of effort and time went into this. So thank you for this. And to everyone else that got here tonight, thank you, and congratulations to you guys.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dustin Gay. I'm a local orthopedic surgeon with Houston Clinic Orthopedics, and we'd really like to invite everybody to come out to our new office facility to take a look at it. It's a larger space with physical therapy, and we're just excited to have it, and we'd love for people to come out and visit us.
Come by and see us today at our brand new location, the Houston Clinic, Medical Drive in Dublin.
Dr. Avery and Dr. Chuckapella are glad to announce the opening of Central Georgia Primary Care right next to Paul's Tire at 230 Industrial Boulevard. At Central Georgia Primary Care, we offer highly skilled physicians with compassionate, personalized care focused on each individual patient as our top priority every single day. Our physicians have devoted a lifetime of excellence in healthcare. It's Central Georgia Primary Care, bringing state-of-the-art health care right here at home.
The next gentleman we want to introduce today is Chopper Foskey. Okay, Chopper Foskey played football for us all 4 years here at Dublin. He was a 2005-2006 graduate, selected first team All-State by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the GACA coaches. He ended up signing with Georgia Southern, but actually went and attended Tusculum University and played at Tusculum. Chopper was a two-way player as an offensive guard and a defensive end. He was a vital part of the most dominating defense in the history of Dublin High School. Chopper's senior year, we had 9 shutouts through the course of that year. We only allowed one team to score. They scored 3 points. And the problem with that is Sam Bars was the coach of that team, And I had to turn the sprinkler system on to stop their dadgum pep rally after the game for those 3 points they scored. But it's unbelievable the talent that football team had around it, and it was led by Chopper. Our defensive end play is a thing that I take a lot of pride in. I've been in Dublin, Georgia for 20 years. We've had 15 different defensive ends that played 5 technique for me since I've been in Dublin, Georgia, that have signed a football scholarship. If you my dog, you play defensive end, you play 5 technique. And that's what Chopper was. He was our dog on that football team that allowed 3 points the whole season. Probably should have been in this Hall of Fame sooner, okay? Chopper was a huge role in what I think was the most amazing playoff run in the history of Dublin football. And that was his junior year. We were in a subdivided region. We only lost 1 game in the regular season. But because the region was subdivided, we ended up going in as a number 3 seed. We had to go on the road. First game on the road that year was we had to go to Cook County, and we squeaked out a win down there. I think it was 14-9. Very close. Then it really got interesting. Then we had to load up the next week, and we go to Fitzgerald, and we play the number 1 ranked Fitzgerald team in the state of Georgia in the second round of the playoffs. And we win that football game. And if I could go back and have a chance to show you their clip, there was a play on the goal line when the game was to be decided. Chopper's lined up in a 5 technique. He's supposed to slant to the defensive end. He does. We coach because it's on the goal line and it happens so quickly. If the tight end blocks down on you, you got to cross his face right now because the ball's going outside. And it went exactly the way you coached it. Chopper crossed the guy's face, made a big tackle. We hung on, we beat the number 1 team in the state in the playoffs. The next week, we're road warriors again. We load up and we have to go to Calhoun, Georgia. And they've got 2 or 3 studs at Calhoun. We end up coming from behind in the first half, and we put a good whipping on the bunch from Calhoun. LeVar's Dollar, who's in the Hall of Fame, had a heck of a fake punt run for a touchdown that night. But it was another great win. And they were, I think, I've got it written down here, that football team was, Calhoun was ranked number 2. So we'd gone on the road and we beat the number 1, number 2 team in the state back-to-back weeks in the second and third round of the playoffs. The next week we go to the Georgia Dome and we didn't fare quite as well. We played the number 3 ranked team in the state in Beaufort. And to this day, I still feel like that pass interference call that actually set up their touchdown with less than a minute to go in the game was somewhat questionable. Chopper had the most amazing family support I believe that I've witnessed in my coaching career. He didn't live next to the Dublin High School now. They lived way out in Adrian, and they drove in every day to bring Chopper to school. Now, they were coming to town to work, but they drove in every day to bring him to school, and they worked. School didn't get out at Dublin High School back then, I think, till 3:45. So it was 4 o'clock before we got on the practice field. And it was a good 7:15 before we got everybody dressed and out of the field house to go home. Chopper's mom and dad would roll in there and park out by the practice field, and they would wait patiently without ever a question or a concern for him to get finished with everything that he needed to get finished with. And they'd load up and they'd go home and they'd repeat that process tomorrow. So mom and dad, you deserve a lot of credit in making this happen. Also, he had an older brother named Lee. And these were some of the things that make families in Dublin football special. He got on board and he started his own Dublin football webpage back before web pages were what everybody wanted. And people all across the country were reaching out to me about this football team we had at Dublin High School because of what your brother was doing to help support this program. So without any further ado, Chop went on and played his football, as I mentioned, at Tusculum. And I told him today, which is disappointing to me, and not because of any other way, I don't think I've seen Chopper since the day he graduated from Dublin High School, and it's just an honor for me to have him back in this room today. Come on up, Chop.
And I bet he won't talk a lot. We're going to give him the mic anyway.
As I said, I'm not a real big public speaker, so I probably won't be talking a whole lot. Make it short and sweet for y'all. I'd like to say thank Coach Holmes and for everything he's done, and thank everybody for letting me be here. It's an honor. And one thing I do want to say about Coach Holmes, you know, a lot of teams and families usually try to do as best as you can and play hard as you can, and sometimes the best players don't always play. With Coach Holmes, it wasn't that way. It didn't matter where you come from. It didn't matter who you was. If you put in the work on the field, that's what you did. You played, and I you know, honor that with him. And also, like Coach Holmes said, I appreciate my dad. You know, pushing me as hard as he did. A lot of times, I didn't want to get pushed as hard as he made me get pushed, but it turned out good. And my mom always been there for me, and my brother. Always had my back no matter what, and got my family here, and maybe my kids and my wife believe I was a decent football player now. All these years they hadn't really believed me, but maybe they will this time. And anyway, that's all I have. Thank everybody for letting me be here. Thank you.
Thank you again for being here. It's been an honor to see the old faces and the people that have made Dublin football what it is. I hope that everyone that's in this room will put down on your calendar, in all seriousness, August 19th. 100 years, 1,000 games. We'll play in the Shamrock Bowl. It'll be a wonderful night. We want it to be a wonderful night. And let's just celebrate the great history of this football program that we talked about when we started this program today. Thank everybody for being here.